Hello, good morning, and welcome to Sunrise Daily. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
Well, it's a beautiful Friday morning from here in Lagos. I'm Kayode Okikiolu.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Welcome.
Well, the numbers continue to draw a lot of attention. So if you then take a look at some of those numbers, you see that, well, at the moment, first of all, the NCDC have announced 35 new cases. Remember the last time you had 35? You don't hear that figure often. But we'll come to that in a minute. But 35 new cases of COVID-19, that brings the total number right there to 442. Total number of confirmed cases, 19 of the new cases. So you have in Lagos, 9 of them in the FCT, 5 in Kano, and 2 in Oyo State. So there you could see the breakdown of the cases in each of those states. Well, it still shows Lagos, 251 cases.
Yeah, and you see that Kano is now third on that log from 12th to 4th, now third. Whew, I mean, it just seems that Kano keeps jumping. And if we just say this week we have recorded in just 4 days, I mean, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I mean, we started Monday recording 20, Tuesday, 30, Wednesday, 34, Thursday, 35, and if you put that together, you see like 109 or thereabouts. That's what we've recorded so far in just 4 days. That's not a record we want to be having at this point, especially because we just entered another, round of 2-week lockdown. We ended 2 weeks lockdown, and then we've entered another round. But people might say maybe this is not entirely bad, in quote. Yes, these figures are cases. They're human beings. We need to keep saying those things. They're not just numbers. 442 does not just mean 442. There were 442, people. 152 were discharged. Sadly, we lost 13 of them. So these are human beings. But I think this points to the fact that, yes, we have ramped up our testing. We're going to get figures as to how many tests we have done so far. The NCDC did say yesterday that every Friday at the end of the week we'll get, how many tests we have conducted so far. So we're looking forward to seeing how many tests we have conducted and how, these 442 cases measure up in terms of percentage. So maybe this is a pointer to the fact that, okay, maybe we're really getting to see the true picture of what we have so far across the country. But you see, Lagos is still the epicenter. Lagos alone accounts for more than half of all the cases across the country. So that's where we stand right now. Cases are being ramped up. I hear that now they're following up and doing door-to-door across different states in Lagos and the FCT. We hope to see that across other states, especially in Kano and some other states that have been identified as potential epicenters in their various regions. So that's where we are right now.
Perhaps one other thing that could be a little bit of comfort is that, okay, so we have total confirmed cases as 442, but that's not the number of total active cases. We have just about 277 active cases. The numbers of people who have been discharged is 152, so that's something else that is cheering. 2 are said to be in critical condition, and we have recorded 13 deaths. And I think this might be a good time for us to again emphasize something that we have talked about over and over again. There are states in Nigeria that do not have one single case recorded, yet they have already engaged some lockdown on their own as well. So that is being proactive on their part. So if the government can be doing that on the behalf of the people, the least we can do as a people is to support them by obeying the simple instructions that they give to us. Look at 20 states in all. 6 of those states, as at this point, they are from the north, and the number of people are concerned, just as we saw a little bit of concern in the cases in Kano. Who knows what is going to happen with the number of tests that are being conducted here and there now. Mark, what's your take?
Well, I think first that, we're not very happy to see new cases. No one is happy that anyone is coming down with COVID-19. What we would really like to see is that we're testing more people and we're seeing that, more and more people are negative. But I think that we need to prepare our minds for the long haul. This is not a sprint, as the NCDC boss did emphasize yesterday. It's a marathon. Let's not forget that in Wuhan, where this virus came came from, they were on lockdown for 76 days. And they did not, even when they eventually opened up, they opened up gradually. And you see the debates happening in a lot of even Western countries right now on whether or not to open up. They know that eventually they'll have to open up, but they know they cannot open up all at once. So this is not, okay, we were on lockdown for 2 weeks just 2 weeks ago. We're now on lockdown for another 2 weeks. By the end of the 2 weeks, it should be over. We wish it will be, but we need to brace up for what if it is not? What if, because right now we're only just beginning to ramp up testing. What we ought to have done perhaps in the last 2 weeks was to have been testing vigorously alongside, the lockdown. But it didn't seem that that was happening. And we're just beginning to see the number of testing figures just being ramped up. So let us hope that today is Friday already. It's already, is it day 4 or 5 now of the new 2-week lockdown? With this rate of testing, perhaps we'll be able to cover even more grounds with our testing scenario and have a true picture of where we're truly at with the infections of COVID-19 in our country. I mean, how many people have been affected roughly, and whether or not the projections that we have, because let's not forget that the projections that Lagos State government had, and even the projection of the NCDC, the figures that we're seeing on the ground do not quite correspond with the projections that they had. And if that is the case, it's either the projections were wrong, which we hope they will be, because the figures are really alarming, or it's not as bad as they thought. Those are the two scenarios. But for me, I think that we should prepare our minds and the minds of Nigerians for the long haul. This disease, as the NCDC boss did say yesterday, and I think it's really scary. I don't mean to scare anyone, but that's what we have. It's going to change our lives and in the way we do things for a while to come. We don't know how long that's going to be, even the way we conduct business. So this is where we are right now. And I think that we also need to ramp up and get better organized in terms of how we're sharing the palliatives that people will need to be able to endure this long haul lockdown period. Gentlemen.
Well, yes, indeed. When you also talk about that graph and looking through some of those data from the NCDC, it was on the 1st of April that we first had that 35 total confirmed cases, first time that threshold.
In one day.
Then the next day it tanked to 10. And you thought, whoa. But here we are, 17th of April, talking about another 35. So it's something that really going to focus on, especially if you look at how we came about this new figure. But then we also do know that lots of people are also being treated and discharged, so which we'll also need to keep our eye on as we progress. So, well, we keep having those responses coming through from you. We encourage that. So let's take a look at some of those ones who have sent in some messages. We have this one talking about the lockdown. So it's the lockdown in Ilorin. At the moment, we can't go to the ATM, no access to purchase disco lights for people to use. Those who are using their cards can't recharge that card for electricity. Soldiers not allowing people to buy food at perhaps neighboring areas. The government should allow people to buy gas and cook. Says it's kind of frustrating at the moment.
I think some people raised the fact that they wonder, what if I have to go to the bank to get money just to go to the market, which is close by? But the bank is not close by. There's always that challenge. There was a video that was circulating, a man that said he wanted to use the ATM just to go to the market, and they said, well, you can't go to the ATM. So that's something we need to fine-tune. The next one is from Abimbola saying the government should count number of houses on each street through local government and estate managers. That talk about palliatives. It goes on to say these foodstuffs should then be given to each house according to the number of flats or rooms in them. The house that has been given food should be marked. Remember that marking for water corporation or the usual immunization mark that you get. He's suggesting that.
But now the mark there isn't at the moment is your recharge card and 5,000 naira in your account. But somebody said, what if I have 5,001 naira? I'm sorry.
Okay, what if you have 4,999? Does that mean you're qualified?
Semantics. There should be plus or minus, maybe.
All right, this one is from Samson. It says there's a huge gap on awareness for COVID-19. The religious and community leaders, including NOA, are not helping matters. FG needs to make concerted efforts in this area. That's really something that a number of people are really concerned about, because even now, one of the information a friend gave to me is that states are not sure who should take responsibility of residents in certain border communities, like Isheri, for instance, is the border community of Lagos and Ogun. So when they try to get palliatives, they are wondering, wait, are you supposed to get it from Lagos or from Ogun State? Right. I think, that's another thing.
And then we've got this next one. It's a banker. Person is a banker, and don't forget, it still talks about the ATM size. I work with a commercial bank in Lagos, but I'm a little bit concerned that one of the areas of concern should be the ATM spot and banking halls. We open to customers once a week, and I think this should be looked at by decision makers because we are at risk in this sector. So
this is really, I think it is something we should really give attention to because different people use, the ATMs per time and there is always a queue. It's not that when you finish using it, you're going to dip your hand in some sanitizer or clean it up or anything. So it makes a valid point.
I think we've seen a few, banks try to provide these things. And I recall that some people were asking banks to actually stay open so their businesses can run. I mean, some essential businesses. So it's kind of tricky, but I mean, it's important to take a look at these issues and make, informed decisions. This one from Beatrice from Nasarawa State asking, what is Nasarawa State doing to combat the COVID-19? Because in my area at Masaka Karu local government, we have not seen any help from the state government. Life has not been easy with this lockdown, so many Almajiris have nothing. Goes on to say, please, I am pleading on behalf of the Almajiri, please help them.
There you go. Please do keep your comments coming through. We'll take as much as we can, but for now, we'll just get back to you from the dailies to see what they are talking about today. All right, so to the dailies now. Nigerian Tribune first. Beneficiaries of free electricity to be identified. Yeah, you would have thought, wait a minute. You mean it's not going to be all of us? Well, reps, executives, stakeholders meet, set up committee. Gbajabiamila laments non-existence of Power Consumer Assistance Fund. Whoa. Okay. So who knows? Maybe the committee that has been set up may then look into this one now. Power Consumer Assistance Fund. Okay. So that's what you see right there. And then of course you can see that map there. States with COVID-19 cases. It just tells you how where it is, what to do. Maybe you might project as a result of this, but you need to also look at the stats and see how that will go. Then still speaking about COVID-19, FG warns private hospitals, encourages production of local face masks that you see there. Then they've got some piece here which, okay, well, 11 COVID-19 patients discharged in Lagos, Ogun, Bauchi, Kwara. Lagos records another 3 deaths, also featuring on the front page here. So take a look at what's on the back page here. I can't wait for Fury Showdown.
What's
Joshua.
taken?
Whoa, okay, so that's what you see right here. So that's Nigerian Tribune this morning.
Well, let's take a look at Daily Trust. The big story. As 1 week lockdown begins, security agents take over major streets. That's in Kano. Confirmed cases rise to 21 in 5 days. Now, Kano is third on that log, and locals urge more commitment from government. But there's more to that story. If you take a look at the front page of a Daily Trust, the big pictures, you see the one on top shows heavy traffic and buyers at markets in Kano just hours before the implementation of the state government's lockdown. That was yesterday night, and this was just hours before that. And if you see those pictures, you see how people are crowded in that market. And well, we've talked about physical distancing, social distancing, ensuring that we don't make the situation worse while trying to solve it. But there you go, that's what you find hours before that lockdown in Kano. And there's a sad one right on top of that story. Fire kills 17 in Borno IDP's camp. I mean, this fire alone has taken more lives than COVID-19 in the whole of the country. Just a fire in an IDP camp in Borno State killed 17 people. The death toll from COVID-19 in the country is 13. And here you see that fire taking 17 lives. Really sad one there. It's on page 8 of a Daily Trust. And right next to that, FG oil marketers disagree over petrol pricing regime. It's on page 13. We're really hoping not to see this, but that's all we have. We don't look forward to this spiraling into something worse. And see that story, free electricity, not for all Nigerians. That's come from the government. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, did I make the cut? Well, we'll find out in the coming days. And one more, let's take this one. Katsina government's lockdown, Dutima bans weekly market. And quite interesting one. Nakon asks intending pilgrims to deposit for Hajj. So is this an act of faith saying, well, we believe this is going to end soon, so make your deposit. We'll find a way around this. So we'll leave it there for the Daily Trust this morning.
The Guardian newspaper comes next, and it leads with a little different story. Outrage over killings during lockdowns. Omar Gege, Ekweremadu, others demand prosecution of culprits. Not the kind of news we really want to have, but this is what we have now happening in some parts of the country, according to this report. You want to pick up the paper to check it out. WHO unveils plan to save lives, lessen impact of pandemic. The story continues on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Of course, you see that picture of the Vice President in that Economic Sustainability Committee meeting at the State House. Right under the picture, confusion as NCDC Kano presents conflicting COVID-19 results. Well, I think the NCDC DG made allusion to this yesterday, that occasionally there's usually that discrepancy because of the wide network of activities all over the place, but eventually they harmonize figures. And there's that rider there is a quote, disease will reach every state in Nigeria. We want to find out who said that. The story continues on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. AU seeks debt forgiveness for Nigeria over COVID-19. Story is on page 3. Police arrest killers of Fashoranti's daughter as Adebanjo insists on restructuring. They're also on page 3. And Lassa fever kills 19 as Bauchi discharges 3 COVID-19 patients. Find that story on page 5. The back page has sports. Ayegbeni picks Lagerback as best Eagles coach, among other stories, including this one. Come and fight me, Anthony Joshua tells Tyson Fury.
I'm sure he doesn't mean during this period. Maybe much later, definitely.
That's the Guardian this morning.
Well, let's quickly take a look at Vanguard for you. You see there, COVID-19, we don't have enough isolation centers for returnees. That's according to the federal government. Warns states, this isn't time for games. What games could states be playing? We don't know, but you might want to flip to page 8 to see what they're talking about. Adds stigmatization of patients can lead to explosion in infections. Yes, if you stigmatize them, less and less people will want to come out for testing. That definitely is true. And so people should learn not to stigmatize those who have survived and those who are currently suffering from the disease. Blames spread of COVID-19 on interstate travels. We heard the IG speaking in very strong terms as to what will happen if people continue to flout the rules. But you see that lockdown panic as hoodlums reign in Lagos. Security agents protest abandoned duty posts. Over 800 culprits arrested in Lagos, as according to the police. You might want to read that story yourself and see what is happening in Lagos. Sarawiwa's son dies of COVID-19 in UK. A really sad development there. And I keep wondering, just how many more families will be affected by this disease? How many families, their lives change forever as a result of this pandemic? Condolences to their family. IG confirms arrest of Funke Olakunrin's killers. That also happened yesterday. And lockdown protest, police arrest 18 in Delta. COVID-19 will get to every state That's according to the NCDC boss. It says here, NCDC boss warns. So I don't think any state should let down their guard just yet. If you look at the back page, I was just thinking to myself that if I don't take this back page, Chamberlain is going to have my neck on a platter, or is it my head now? Vanguard Sports there says, Barca, Real Madrid to battle for Aubameyang. It's right there on the back page. Matuidi, Rugani make full coronavirus recovery, thankfully. And Kadri Omotayo drop in IWTF ranking. Oh dear, what's happening there? Osimhen opens door to Man United transfer. That's also there. Come fight me, Anthony Joshua tells Fury. And Fabinho grew up liking Okocha, according to Okocha. They have a number of other stories there. This one says coronavirus, EPL clubs meet, chart a new course. They know that things might not remain the same in the world of sports. If that's how it goes. That's it.
So there you go. It's going to be a very interesting time, and it's really challenging for the world at the moment. So they're all just grappling, struggling, trying as much as they can to see how they could, combine and ensure while still putting everybody's health first and not just sports first. So it's affecting everything, but even here too. Authorities just doing as much as they can to ensure that things go right. But interesting scenario in Sweden. They seem to have a different approach to all of these things. But there you go. But we'll be back and take you through what is playing out in some other parts of the country. Stay with us.